Welcome back to episode 3 of Rematch Goalie 101. I am your host, as always, Skyline, and we have been on a little bit of a break. I know it's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I've streamed one of my episodes, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's gone up on YouTube. But make sure that we get right back into this with episode 3. And as you can see, this episode is specifically going to be about passing, which might sound a little weird considering we're talking about goalies. I mean, like goalies and passing. Okay, what are you trying to do? um, but no, passing is a very important role in goalkeeping that I feel like a lot of players overlook because they don't think as much as just you get the ball out to the open man and that's that. But there's a lot more situations and things that can happen depending on how you decide to play your passes and a lot of stuff that we'll get into today. This is going to be a shorter episode. I usually like to keep my episodes 30 minutes or shorter. I know last time I did it like 40 minutes long. But this one I'm going to try to keep under 30 minutes because I got stuff I got to do as well. So we are going to go ahead and try to get into this with our tactical board. As you can kind of see, we already got a setup going. We have the 2-2 that we talked about in episodes 1 and a little bit in episode 2 about. But for now, we'll say we're the blue one. So this is going to be us as the goalkeeper. Now, when it comes to passing, like I said, the number one thing we usually do as a goalkeeper or just in general is look for the open man. It's the smartest thing to do. So, say for example, you might have your two-man come here and check in, and then just have a little open man in the midfield to pass to. So you just play it to his feet, right? Or he might decide to run into the box, so you try to send it high to him. And what some people might call a missile, it depends on the situation, but a lot of the time it's goalkeeper just sending a missile. But a lot of times, what happens in like pro play and tournaments is that they have set plays set up for the goalkeeper whenever they have the ball if they're not being pressed is to send it to certain spots. Now, I don't expect this from y'all because I'm assuming anyone watching this video is more of like, okay, well, I'm playing solo queue with ranked teammates. They're not going to know how to set this kind of stuff up. So, some examples though of like what happens during the tournaments is if you step up as a keeper, what'll happen is your one or two men, whoever side you're going on closer, they might go behind their man and you throw it behind them off the wall for them to have to go across through their two man. Another situation might be they go more out towards the corner where you throw it into their corner, or they run at you and you give it, like I said earlier, you give it to their feet or hit it over them. Those are some situations where like you know where to pass, but you have more communications with your team. But we're going to be on the more realistic side here and talk about passing when it comes to like solo queue and all that kind of stuff. So let's now say that we're the purple one. So this is us over here, and let's say we have this ball. We just got it off a save from one, and now they're starting to run back. So let's space this out a little bit more. So let's say their keeper's starting to run back. Our guys that are yellow now, they're going to start running forward. Now, a very big and important thing about the keeper is there's two things you want to look out for the second that you get the catch, you get the ball. The number one thing is your timer. If you get the ball from the opponent's last touch, it is a 7-second timer. This also includes if they have possession of the ball and your teammate tackles it to you, that is still a 7-second timer because your teammate never had possession of the ball. So if your teammate is not the last one to have possession of the ball, you always have a 7-second timer. Now, if your teammate is the last to have a possession of the ball, then that changes to 3 seconds. So a big difference that you have to be aware of. So let's say that you just got it from the opposing team. So you have a 7-second timer. So the first thing you want to do is when you get this ball in your hands with that timer, you look immediately upfield. Let me get my marker here. You immediately look upfield and assess your options because you can easily start the play with a counterattack. You have two guys upfield who are going ahead and trying to create space for you. So let's say 3 comes in a little bit more. This guy's following him, so we realize he's marked. We can't pass him. But let's say 4 is going across in the middle, and by the time this guy gets back to net, his guy's too far behind. Okay, perfect. We have a counterattack opportunity because this guy's being left. So if we just throw this straight down the middle with a kick shot or whatever you call it, a shot pass, just holding down your shoot button essentially and just aiming it down the way he's running, then we can get this ball to him because that's going to be our hardest pass is by shooting it, and then he can just take it into a solo or whatever happens in that moment. But let's say that both of these players are being marked. So they're running upfield, so 3 are yellow guys, they're being marked. Now we're going to be looking more towards, okay, let's look at our short pass options. If our short passes are not guarded, so let's say, for example, 2 is starting to press you instead of passes, guarding 2, and you looked upfield at the start of your timer and you saw that there's no one open, so you can't like run around him real quick using your, we call it blue boost, but extra effort, whatever you want to call it, using your extra effort, and you see that no one's upfield, then we just do our, a roll pass or overhead pass. The overhead pass is always the safest pass to do, but sometimes it's easier just to do a roll pass because it gets to them a little bit quicker. Only do a roll pass in situations where it's a short pass like this, or like I would say behind your half if you're like in your box and they're wide open. If there's someone stepping to you though and like blocking your angle and they're wide open like this, that's when you do an overhead pass. And then if they're like running upfield deeper, like I said, 4-3 and they're open, then that's when you want to use your shoot button to pass it to them. That plus the good thing about shooting it the ball is you can control it a little bit better because you also have the curve that you can work with, so you can angle it a little bit better, which is what I like to do in situations like this. Where again we'll switch back to 1 whenever we're like coming up here. Oh, wrong thing. There we go. We'll switch back to 1. But something I like to do is that say for example 2's making a run into this box and I realize that this guy's on him, and to angle this like straight at him is a risk because of 2 steps up, like if you use a blue boost or again extra effort and he gets to this and they meet at the same time, he has a chance of getting priority, right? So what I usually do is I shoot this and put a right curve on it so it curves out here to try and meet this man while he's on the back, so that way the shot has a better chance of at least getting a angle on it without getting blocked by this guy. Because this guy, he's further back than our guy is. If we play it more outer on the edge, like towards his outer foot, it is going to be harder for this man right here to stop it. But going into this situation, let's say again, this is if the opponents are giving us space. So if we don't see a pass option, again, we're switching to 1. We're kind of going back and forth between the 2. But if we don't see a pass option whatsoever, so every man's being marked, this is whenever we take our space up. So we'll, again, go up a little bit, just have the ball with us, and then we're looking. We're looking on our right and left are our mini maps. So remember, you have a mini map in the bottom right, and the past 2 episodes, if you watch them, I've tried to emphasize how important it is to utilize that mini map as much as possible, especially if you are trying to go upfield to create something as a keeper. You need to be utilizing that to make sure that you don't have this guy trying to come and attack you from the side or this guy trying to come and attack you from the side. So if you're taking your space upfield, use that mini map. If you see no one's pressing you, then take your time. Let your guys get upfield. So again, 3, 4, they'll start running up more. They'll have tracked, and then 1 will go to the side, 2 will go into the side, not out of bounds. But they'll go more on the sides, and then they'll try to kind of funnel upfield, and then we'll see what happens. So see people run around, 1 of them probably will start dragging back to get their man off of them. If that's the case and you see no one open upfield, then we just drop it off to the short man and just let him try to take it upfield, because it's better for them to take it upfield, obviously, even with a man on them, than it is for us to try to take this upfield. Because, I mean, if we go all the way upfield, then we're leaving our net wide open. So if they get an interception or anything, all they have to do is just throw a shot downfield and it's in. So just let's be more aware of our surroundings as a keeper, because a lot of the time what I'll see keepers do is either as soon as they get the ball, they don't assess their options, they just bang it downfield and hope for the best. Or if they do run out, they're not paying attention to their surroundings. So they might be like drifting off over here, looking this way, trying to look for three to cut in or something. And this two guys just going to run at them, tackle, and then have a free shot. So again, there's not much to know when it comes to passing, but it's more of a situational thing that you need to be aware about. So once again, we'll move our players back into position. Have we had them before? 2 here, 1 here, 3, and then 4. Another thing as a keeper. So whenever we have the ball in our box, 7 or 3 seconds, if we're trying to play it upfield and our man, let's say it's 4 in the situation, is being marked on the inside, so like more over here. Something I talked about that I've realized at last episode, whenever I was doing the VOD review of one of my games, is that a pass off the wall is very effective against players that like to play this inside zone a little bit on their opponent if they think that's going to be a direct pass. So what they'll do is, let's say for example, our players again they're spread out. We see 4 has space downfield and take a counter if they can get past. We do a shot pass, usually a shot pass full power. Think of it as usually around the edge of the box. It'll end up on the like darker line. So if we full power it, it'll end like somewhere around this area if we're aiming like directly at it. So if I'm like right here essentially and I try to pass it, that's where it's going to end up. But you got to take into account, they can still header it or, bicycle kick, whatever you call it. So in that situation, this is where we want to utilize the wall. Again, they're playing this inside zone a little bit more, so they're playing like over here. So what we do is we send a pass off wall that's going to bounce here to be safer because we're not dragging them out to allow 4 to get here in time to just meet. We're keeping that ball going forward so that way when 4 runs at this and this 4 runs at it, obviously we're going to have our teammate get there quicker than the opponent. So just try to keep that in mind. And then I think full arm power, if I remember correctly, if you do a straight line, it ends up right around here, like just right on the edge of this box. And again, we're taking into account like we're throwing it basically from the edge of the box almost. And that's full power. And then if you roll it, I think it's kind of the same thing. It'll make it all the way to the edge of the box. It's just, again, it's at people's feet and it's a little bit slower because the way it works is the longer it rolls on the ground, the slower it's going to go. So again, a lot of situations that we can talk about where, okay, well, my solo queue teammates, they don't know how to get open. And obviously the goalkeeper, if I'm playing goalkeeper, I can't take it up myself. And none of them want to draw back. So at this point, like, what am I supposed to do? I can't take it all the way upfield by myself and go for the solo because if I do, and again, we lose the ball, then they just bang it all the way in our net. So tell me, what am I supposed to do? Like I can't just throw a missile into the box and hope for the best because I technically you could, but with how the game has been adjusted, missiles don't work much anymore, and you can't trust your solo queue teammates. Well, let's say we have our teammates upfield. Let's say all of them decide to go upfield on this. So we'll all run upfield. Actually, we'll just switch it back to the blue guys. Again, I've been doing a lot of back and forth switching, but y'all, I feel like y'all know what I'm talking about whenever I like switch the guys around. But let's say our teammates, let's say they're all like crowding downfield. So they're not even running like a 2-2 realistically. They're just kind of like all trying to get near the box. So we'll have like these guys sitting up top. We'll have these guys towards the corner, and we have all this space. Now, we have a couple options here. Our best bet is just, again, still taking it up and seeing if one of their guys tries to come for us. So, like, let's say 3 realizes we're coming really close, and since we're goalkeeper, if he tackles us, we lose the ball, it's a free goal for him. So he's like, okay, I'm going to challenge this. So he goes here. Well, now look at that. You're forcing a man off to open an opportunity, so now you have a wide open man. So we pay attention to that. Let's say that they don't attack whatsoever. So let's just say we have our teammates sitting downfield and that we have no one open at the moment. but they're running around field because knowing again solo queue teammates they're going to be running. Well, then look to see if you can find someone on the back end. So what I mean by that is a lot of them would like to try to run into the open space at the very least, even if they're being marked. So see if like maybe one sees that there's more open space in the corner, three here. Let's say three sees that there's a little bit of open space in this corner, so he makes a run for it. In that case, we can send a shot pass again off the wall straight to him. So that way when it comes back, he's beating his man there, and at least he can take it upfield and maybe try to go inside here and play it off the wall or whatever to someone cross. Give a better angle. Those backboard passes are like the number one thing that I usually see from pro teams. But again, you're not going to see it much in solo queue play or ranked play. But if you're playing in tournaments or you have a team that you run with, those backboard passes are going to be utilized heavy because usually you like to get behind your man and then it's just a wide open pass because it's a lot easier to go off the wall to a man that's behind his man to get to him than it is a direct pass because the angle's a lot harder. You have to be more like picture perfect. And then not only that, if the pass is too low and this three guy steps in front, then he can just get a free bicycle kick or header or whatever, and then possibly even take a shot from that deep and still make it because you still have to retreat back. So with passing, we always want to look for the open man. That's 101. I feel like everyone should know that. We're always looking for the open man. If we do not have an open man, then either we take our time and try to see if the people can run around a little bit more and we can find someone and send it to them, whether we're utilizing the walls, again the side walls, whether we're utilizing the back wall, whatever it is. If they give us time, use it. Don't rush it. If they're like running in close, or if again you're on your half, so let's give the ball to this one, say we're this goalie now, and they're pressing us maybe and have an option. Remember, if he's stepping on you at an angle to where he's blocking the pass or he's even threatening it, then overhead it. But if it's the option where he's like this one guy is still chasing at you and you have the ability to roll it, then just roll it as well. Because if they're shorter, like if they're closer and you roll it, it's going to be quicker than overheading it. But if they're further, then you can overhead it because it's still safe and it does, still do the job. But always assess your options. And then finally, like I said, the most important thing to me is that timer. You need to realize when your teammate was the last one to have possession and when the opponent was last at possession. Because that will literally tell you what the timer will be before you even look at it. Obviously, use the timer as much as you can, but that is the best way to tell what that timer is going to show before you even really see it. But that is all I said, or all I have for this week's episode. Like I said, it was a short episode for a reason. There wasn't much to really talk about passing except for like the basics that I feel like a lot of people don't know about too much, or like certain options that you can have and ways you can work around the ball and your teammates, whether they're good or bad, and not know how to like really create space as much. Just being able to kind of lead them to that open space. If they see that ball traveling that way, they're going to go towards it at the very least. So, yeah, that is going to be it. If anyone has any questions, anything like that, the floor is open. So I'm going to give some time. Anyone in the chat has any questions about maybe just like certain situations of like when to pass the ball where or anything like that. I'll give it about maybe a minute, but if I don't really see any questions in the chat, then we'll wrap it up there, and that will be episode 3. Like I said, I'm sorry that it took like 2 weeks to make this episode because I've been away. I've been traveling. I was in Atlanta, Georgia for DreamHack. If anyone was there, it was a fun experience. Got to see a lot, like the Marvel Rivals Grand Finals and the Clash of Clans, Clash Royale. A lot of games were there, and then a lot of booths as well. But I had a coach for Rocket League for my collegiate Rocket League team, so there was that. And then I stayed up in Tennessee where the school's located because I had to go right back to Kentucky the very next weekend to help coach them at another event that was at the University of Kentucky. And then I also got to go see a Kentucky versus Florida football game. So I've been very busy, but I've also been trying to enjoy life to my fullest. But it doesn't look like anyone has any questions. So that is going to be the end of episode 3. Uh, Again, just watch your timer. Look for the open man. Try to create opportunities downfield. At the start of your timer, always look downfield first. The second that you have 7 second timer, or even 3. Like if you have 7, obviously take more time to look downfield and see if you have an open man to create a quick counter, and then use your extra effort or blue boost if you have the space, or if you need to create space in order to get downfield quicker. Because remember, those extra effort shots or the blue boost shots, they give more power and send it further than if you were just to send it normally. But you can still send it normally if it's like, it doesn't require that much power. They're just wide open really quickly, and you need to get it downfield before a defender steps on them. So just keep that in mind. And then obviously, if you don't see anyone downfield and your timer's running short, so especially if it's a 3 second timer, literally like within the first second, use that 1 second to see if anyone's downfield open. If you see no openings whatsoever, just immediately get it out to your short man. I usually just immediately look for short man either way if I know for a fact that there's no one downfield, because all of them are usually playing defense. But just keep an eye on that. And then, like I said, for 7 seconds, use the most of it. But other than that, that will wrap up episode 3. So thank y'all so much for watching. And episode 4, again, will be soon now that I'm back. I have to go away again this weekend to cast an event. But after this weekend, I have pretty much like a month and a half break. So yeah, we'll be able to do a little bit more content on that end. But until then, peace.